What's up guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be making a roof rack to go on top of a Montero. Not this one, my other one with the V8 in it. This one's temporary here, but this is going to be the rack. I have it just sitting right here, nothing's welded on. This is going to be for a rooftop tent that I'm going to build hopefully in a little while once this rack project is done. First thing you gotta do with a project like this is consider what you're making it for. So I'm making it for a Montero, relatively narrow, not super tall on top. So that kind of confines me to a certain dimension. And also I wanted to make it so it could fit a 4x8 sheet of plywood on here, which is kind of going to be the template for my rooftop tent. So I made it wide enough for a 4x8, not quite long enough for a 4x8, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to make one end open so it can slide off the edge. Yeah, so there's a few things to consider. It's your vehicle size and what you're putting on top of it, what you plan to use it for, and especially a weight limit. So if you're putting some 500 pounds on top, which I don't recommend you do, you have to make the rack at least strong enough for that. Rooftop tent shouldn't weigh more than like 150 pounds, so no big deal there. With those limitations comes picking material. Obviously, you don't want a ton of weight on top of your car, especially when it's a Montero. It's already pretty tall, already a little top heavy, so I kind of want to make it as light as possible. That's why I'll show you my material choice. I went and got this just a few days ago, and I got this stuff today. So what I made it out of is, this is 1x2. I really like the look of the flat rectangle tube on top. I could have done square, but I like the way the rectangle looks. This is a 1/16 inch thick. Doesn't have to be super thick since it's going to be, the weight of the rooftop tent is going to be spread out between these 8 posts, or at least 7 of them. And my sides I made out of, this is 2x2 1/8 inch angle iron. So the reason I went with angle iron is because it holds the 1x2 pretty nicely in there, and from the sides and stuff it kind of looks like it looks like a square tube rack, and I can kind of contour these edges a bit to give it a little more design to it. Like I said, I don't want to add too much weight to the top of my car. This all in all should weigh around 60 pounds, which is pretty equivalent to what you'll get with like a Rhino rack or something like that. It's all steel, of course. I can't weld aluminum, so if I could, I may have went for aluminum, but this is a whole lot cheaper and a lot easier to work with. Also, sorry guys, my whole workspace is kind of a mess. We got a lot of things going on. We got this is like an '83 Suzuki Jimny that we got for free, so a little bit of project there. Maybe make a video on it. It's got some rust, pretty beat up, a little tiny front axle, everything's small. This is only like maybe 8 or 10 inches wider than a four-wheeler, so super narrow. We got a 370Z engine for this Opel here, and some RX-8 subframe in there. A lot of stuff going on. This is my brother's car, that's my other brother's car, and yeah, so don't mind the mess. Okay, the next thing I did was figure out the spacing I wanted to do. Some people have a sunroof, so they want to, maybe they would take this bar out and leave one long section in there, or frame it out or something. I have a sunroof. It doesn't work. I don't really care about it too much. It'll still let light in. Not a big deal. So I just went with a even spread here. This angle iron is 90 inches long, and these pieces are 51 inches or 52, I can't remember, one of those. So I want to make it big enough to obviously fit a sheet of plywood up here, and should do that, no problem. So the next thing I'm going to do is square up all these. Well, first I'm going to clean off all the steel, get this mill scale off of there. That way it will weld nice and even. Then I'm going to square up all the, at least these middle 5 or middle 6. I'm going to leave the ends open for now because I don't know if I'm going to angle them or something like that. I'm going to cut this angle bracket, make it look nice. So I'm going to weld the inner ones in, at least tack them in for now, and then we'll get going on the ends. This is a pretty important part in the process. So I have everything grinded down, ready to weld. I tacked in this one bar across, okay? An important part is making sure all of this is level and square. So I leveled these out. You can see I have some shims down here, underneath that. I have some shims there, so this side and that side are level, and they're square with each other. Alright, so I got this mostly tacked in, well, all the way tacked in except for the end pieces, like I said. Welded these on the tops. Just a few of them. I'm going to fully weld the rest of it. Alright, it is fully welded apart from the ends. I think I'm going to put it on top of the Montero and see what I want to do with the ends. Here's it sitting on top of the car. Obviously it's not going to sit on the stock rack at all. I'm going to lower it probably two inches or so and get it as close as I can to the roof. But it looks pretty good. With the back here, I just set this on there, closed off. Looks pretty good. Just about the same width as the gutters, which is kind of what I was going for. A little hard to measure the gutters, but we got it. You can see it from this angle pretty good. I think I'm going to contour this front piece in the last 1x2 to match the same slope of the windshield. It's gonna have a light bar anyways, but maybe it'll look cool. Looks pretty good. Pretty simple. So I recently picked up one of these plasma cutters, super cheap. I think it's like 250 bucks on Amazon, and this thing kicks ass for what it is. Alright, it's just like a little cheap plasma cutter. It works great. And I also picked up a 30-gallon compressor over there, and then I actually just bought this one. It was like 10 bucks, so I thought I couldn't pass it up. It was right after I bought that one over there too. So I had this little 20-gallon. This one doesn't work that well. It needs an electric motor. It spins faster, you know. That one's pretty slow. But that compressor works great, and it I don't really super know how to use this thing. I only have it hooked up to 110 right now because I don't have 220 out here. I bought actually an extension cord. I got to put plugs on, so you know how it goes. I'm going to use this on the rack. I'm going to cut over here. You kind of see that angle. I'm trying to make it the same slope as the windshield. Alright, there was the first plasma cut. I think I was using too much pressure because it was just blowing right through that thing. This is 1/8 inch. Even on 110 it's blowing right through it. This side's a little better. I turned the pressure down to like whatever, 30 psi or something. I still have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to grind that off. It'll look fine. Just practicing with it. If you guys have any tips for me, let me know what you guys are running on here. I think it was like 40 amps and 30 psi or so running. It might just be me, I suck at doing it, but it's pretty cool. Alright guys, new day. Got this thing fully welded up. I'm just going to be working on the ends pretty much. You saw I got this cut to angle. I painted all the weld joints and stuff. I came out last night and fully welded the sides and the bottom. So it's fully welded all the way around, just painted with some primer sealer. So I don't want this thing to rust. It's kind of hard with tube because tube likes to rust from the inside, and this isn't super thick wall, so the possibility of it rusting. So I don't want to take a chance on it and leave it out for more than a day. So I'm gonna cut this line here up at an angle in the back, both sides of course, and then the front I'm gonna weld in. And we're gonna make it look nice. This thing's probably just gonna get a nice coat of black paint or possibly bedline or something like that. I don't want it to be too rough because I don't want stuff sitting on it to get all eaten up. So maybe I'll just do black paint. It'll look good. I think that looks kind of cool. Just adds a little bit of contour to it. I'll probably round these edges and stuff, but I think it looks alright. Now that I got the contour the way I want it, I can go ahead and weld this bar in. And then we'll be done with the back, and we just got to move on to the front. Alright, change of plans. I like the way that looks on the back, so I'm going to do the same thing on the front. It's just going to be fully flat all the way across. So that'd be good. I'm going to put a light bar on the front anyways, but for now it'll be good. So I'm going to cut that at that angle and match it to the back. Alright guys, this is pretty much the finished product. Super simple, just like a ladder pretty much. These are like 12 inches apart, something like that. I got 8 of them. I'm going to paint it in some just matte black for now, just to get it all one color. And I might primer the whole thing and then paint it black, I don't know yet. I got to move that thing so I don't get paint on it. Yeah, but it's pretty much finished product. You got these angles cut on there, a little steeper at the front for just because it looks cool. I'm gonna have a light bar on here, so you're not really gonna see a whole lot of all this. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I used it as a ladder. It works pretty well. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's very slight bend in it. I guess I didn't clamp it down good enough and it warped a bit. It's like 1/4 inch maybe all the way through, but I'm gonna say I did that for design. That's just how it fits the roof line a little better, you know, and it's kind of, I designed it for load. That's why I bent it like that. It's actually pretty strong. I got the tractor in here and put some pressure on it, and it's pretty stout little rack here. Yep. So I'm gonna get it all one color, and then we'll start making the gutter mounts. I think I might have 3 of them, possibly 4. I think I only need 3 though. This is definitely one of the hardest parts. Just getting it square and level and how you want it. I'm just stacking up wood. I'm just going to make the mounts. I think I made it close enough to where I could use this outside piece and just weld the piece on to go down. Might do a little bit of bending here and there, but should be alright. And that gives me room to put a gusset in here on the back side of that, so it'll be nice and strong. I think I'm only going to do 3 on each side. I think that'll be enough for it. I was thinking of doing 4, but then I didn't want to do that, so 3 it is. This is kind of going to be my gutter mount setup. It's just some 1/8 inch by 2.5 inch flat bar. I'm going to fully weld it to this piece here, and it's going to sit in here, and I'll make another piece that clamps it in, but this is more of the stand part, and I'll gusset the back, I think, back here, and that'll make it plenty strong. This is pretty strong as it is, and I'm gonna have 2 more on each side, so I'm gonna have 6 total, and it should be plenty. Right now, yeah, this is 8 inches long, minus 2 inches, so it's about 6 inches off of the gutter, which is probably 2 inches or less above the roof, which is exactly how I wanted it. Real low profile. Kind of see. A little difficult. You guys will see once the wood's out. Here's the rack on the car. I got these gutter mounts on here. They're just vice gripped in. So this one I had to bend a little bit. I guess the back kind of tapers down, so it's kind of hard to see. I had to bend it in like that. I think it looks pretty good. Of course, I'm going to add another one in the middle there. Hopefully it looks a little better. I'm not super liking the how thin this looks on there, but I assure you it's plenty strong. I think it'll look better once I gusset in the corner, so it looks a little beefier, because it just looks kind of thin, especially from the front here. But you know, it's not too bad. I think adding a gusset in the corners will make it look a lot better. I think I might drop the front down a little bit. That might make it look a little better too, kind of go with the body line just a bit. Okay, we're going to get the mounts tacked in here, at least on the front. I kind of work in steps, so I'll do the front, get that nice and solid, and then I'll move to the back and I'll get that nice and solid, instead of grinding everything and then doing it all at once. That's just the way I like to do it. That way I can check along the way. Yeah, so I ended up bending these a little bit in just to make it a little nicer fit, both sides, and it's all level with the car now. So that's how I'm going to do it. Got all 6 supports tacked on there, and I have a 7th one up here in the back, just because when I get my rooftop tent I'm going to be climbing up the ladder, and that'll probably be the first spot, and really the only spot that gets weight right in the middle of it. So I have this one nice and bent up in there. I'm starting to practice a lot more with the plasma cutter. You can see that cut possibly pretty decent straight. So yeah, I'm working on getting these clamps ready to clamp it in there. It's basically just going to be kind of like a C-channel type thing, and it's going to have a bolt through the center of it where it can pinch the gutter. So I got to make 7 of those. Still looks kind of weird with the really thin gutter mounts, but I think it's alright. It's actually really strong for what it is. I can stand on there no problem and move around. It doesn't budge. I'm going to still put gussets in there, so hopefully it'll look a little better. From the side though, it looks pretty good. So I cut out all these pieces on the plasma cutter. This is 1/8 inch here, and this is 16th inch. So I'm going to make something similar to this. Because this part is going to go in between the door and the gutter, so the seal won't hit too much on this thin stuff, but the 1/8 inch doesn't fit in there. And then I'll end up drilling a hole right in the center here, and the bolt goes through it. So I have a whole bunch of them. See, this cheap plasma cutter does really nice, actually. I never had a plasma cutter before. You guys probably saw the other cut I did. It was terrible. But basically what I'm doing is I turn the setting all the way up, at least for 1/8 inch. I'm only running on 110, but I've cut easily 1/4 inch with the 110. And even up to, I think I cut 3/8 a little while ago. I didn't measure it, but it was thicker than 1/4 inch, and I cut that on 110, so it was good. Basically turn the settings all the way up, run about 50 psi, and it cuts 1/8 inch like butter. And I turn it down to like 45 psi, or 45 amps, and it burns right through the 16th inch. Makes a pretty nice cut. I haven't done anything to this. A little bit of slag, you know, that just breaks right off. So I'm going to get making those mounts, and should be close to mounting everything. So this is what I ended up making for the rack clamps. This is 1/8 inch. Probably would have been easier to get some C-channel, like thinner C-channel, thinner than 1/8 inch. Maybe like 0.065 or something, which is what this is. So I just kind of tacked in. I'll probably fully weld that end, but I was just, I made 7 of them. I was just kind of experimenting, seeing what would work. So let me show you how I ended up doing it. So these are like 2 3/4 inches apart. That's kind of how I ended up doing it. So it's going to come up here, right? A thin part on the bottom towards the door, and it's going to go on like that, and then it's going to get a bolt through it. You can see that, and it'll pinch it down in there. And it's actually super strong. Hopefully this weld doesn't look too crappy on the outside like that, but it is what it is. And I made it, so I can always make it better in the future. It's all going to be gloss black. Pretty happy with how that is. Now I gotta drill some holes and go all the way through both of them. I might weld a nut on the back side here where my finger is, see, and that way it just screws in. Clamps down nice and tight. See, the door still opens with the clamp on there. That's the main part. That's why I couldn't just use 1/8 inch all the way through. I had to use 16th, and the 16th is actually super strong when you bend it like this. So, yep. Alright guys, I'll try and show you before it's too dark. It's like 8:30. I got it mounted right here with these clamps. These are 1 inch bolts with nuts on the back. And I mean, you can't see, but it's pretty strong. It bends a little bit around here. This isn't fully welded. Once it's fully welded, it'll be pretty damn strong, and then gusset in there, it'll be real strong. But yeah, so tomorrow I'm gonna take this thing off. I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna do all those, finish all the welds on that thing, and we're gonna put gussets in it, and it should be good to go. I think it looks pretty good. And overall, like all in, I think this cost me like $110 in steel and some paint, but not bad at all when you consider the size of it and the weight. So it ended up weighing, I think it's like 60, maybe 70 pounds, if that. And it's pretty dang strong. Those 1x2s do flex if you stand in the middle of them. I mean, I'm 160 pounds, so it's gonna bend a little bit, but I don't plan on putting 160 pounds on one spot. Hopefully. Should be perfect for a rooftop tent. Got the rack off of the car so I can weld some gussets on it, and I fully welded all of these tabs on there. Now what I'm doing is tack welding, or I'm going to fully weld them, but fully weld these gussets in the corners so these don't flex. Hopefully I'll have it done by the end of the day. I still have to weld on the back, one of those, and paint it, so it's going to get fully painted. I just got some gloss black primer, or gloss black for it. Got a couple coats of black paint on it, on the bottom. It's turning out alright. I bought actually the cheapest paint that they sell, so it is what it is. I don't really care. It's black. Yep. So I'll end up flipping it over in like an hour. Maybe painting another light coat on here, and then flipping it over, painting the rest. The rack is all painted. It actually turned out pretty nice for $1 spray cans, but you know, black is black. It's pretty much ready to go on the car once this dries, so probably about an hour. This is going to go on the car and you guys will be able to see it. I also painted all of the brackets black, of course. I was thinking of doing white just for fun, but I didn't. So pretty much ready to go back on. Wait a little bit for the paint to dry and we'll slap it on there, and I'll give you guys a closing statement. Got the roof rack mounted on the car. It looks great. Oh, can't see it, too much sun. Good. It looks pretty damn good, I'd say. Still got like 2 more things to do. I just don't feel like doing them right now. Gotta drill the hole for the clamp on the back and drill the hole for the clamp on this side. Just one. All the other ones are good. This thing is sturdy. Like it doesn't flex at all. I can shake the whole car with it. It doesn't flex. I think the main contributor to it not flexing are these gussets in here I put on every single leg, which make it super strong. And yeah, I mean, there you go. It's full-length roof rack. Should be perfect for a rooftop tent, which is what I'm going to be making soon. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. That's going to be it for this video. Stay tuned for the rooftop tent build that I'm going to be putting on this rack, as well as some more videos about this Montero, maybe a walk around or something. But yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this rack is 90 inches by 51 1/4. It's made of all steel, angle iron, and 1x2, 16th inch 1x2 and 1/8 inch 2x2 angle iron. And it came out to weigh exactly 70 pounds, which is right on par with some of the ARBs around that size. And it's not super heavy, it's not super light, it's not aluminum or anything, but I think it's pretty good weight. It cost me a total of $112, I think, with hardware, all the steel, everything. $112 is a lot better than $1,100 or $900 that like ARB or some of the other manufacturers want for their racks. and I feel that it's around the same. It's comparable to one of those, maybe not the fit and finish exactly, but it's good enough for me. And yeah, so stay tuned for some more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.